Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. This is Michael Schmela from TaiyangNews. I'm really happy to welcome you to our webinar with the topic Coronavirus, Impact on Global Solar Market and Supply Chain. Thanks for joining us on such a short notice. So we just came up last week with this idea to do a webinar because one can read so much about the virus, which is continues, except for China, now still to spread everywhere on the globe, and there are a lot of implications, and we wanted to see what that means for solar, because there are a lot of rumors, there are bits and pieces you can read here and there, and our idea was to bring together people who are close to where supply comes from, and also representatives of the demand side of things. So who we have invited for this webinar, and I'm really happy to welcome our panelists. So we have with us Corrine Lin. She's the chief analyst of leading consultancy PV InfoLink. She will give a brief presentation in the beginning to really show us and what the status is and the impacts on demand, supply, and pricing. And then we will start a panel discussion together with Corrine. Then we have with us on the supply side Danny Chen from world leading solar module manufacturer and supplier JinkoSolar. And we have also with us Rong Shen, who is the Vice President, International Sales and Services of leading inverter manufacturer Goodwe. And then on the demand side, this is represented by Stefan Müller, who is co-founder and COO of Enerparc, the leading solar IPP in Germany and leading developer and EPC on an international basis. So we have 1 hour. We have, as I said, a short, brief intro presentation. Then we have a panel discussion, and then we will invite you to also ask questions. Please use the control panel. I think there should be a lot of questions. We had over 500 registrations for this webinar, so we try to get some order into that and try to pick the most interesting questions and try with this nice panel here to answer as many questions as we can. So then let's start. I'm excited to announce Corrine Lin to give a brief kickoff presentation on the current situation of demand, supply, and pricing.
Hi, hello everyone. This is Corrine from PV InfoLink, and glad to have a chance to sharing our points of view about the impact here. So I bring 3 slides today. One is about demand, and second is for the supply side, and third will be end of the pricing forecast. So start from the first page. Next page, thank you. First is our forecast about the demand, and we do some revise after this situation, and we can see the pie chart first. This year, the total demand will around 129 gigawatts. Actually, it's a little bit lower than our previous forecast. And the main reason is the first quarter demand, they cannot buy enough module actually, and especially for India, because always first quarter is the India rush seasons, and now the multi-products supply chain from wafer, cell, and module, the utilization rate is relatively low compared to mono products. So actually, the India, we revised down a little bit for the India demand. And another revise is the China market, because actually today China announced a new policy, and the deadline for the first quarter, second quarter, and the end of this year may have some delay. I'm not sure about the period, but the rumor say that maybe it is 1 quarter delayed for the deadlines. So the first quarter demand in China and outside China will move to Q2 and Q3 because of the shortage of the module. And Q4 actually is still the hot season this year, but we need to see the deadline of the China market will be delayed also or not. So totally we can see the bar chart that the Q1 is the lowest season in this year, and because of we cannot buy enough module for the low utilization rate in February, but second quarter will start to rebound, and Q3 and Q4 will both good in our forecast. This is our demand side points of view, and then we can go to next page regarding supply side. For supply side, actually in February, utilization rate is low, no matter it's wafer, cell, or modules, because the shipping issue and the labor issue. So we prepare a table for every segment in the PV supply chain, from polysilicon, wafer, cell, and module. You can see this table here that at the module side in February is relatively low than other segment, is lower than cell, lower than wafer, and that is because that module has lots of bond material, and we see that module bond material like junction box, EVA frames are very shortage in the February. But the good news is that in March, lots of companies' utilization rate are increasing. In February, we see that lots of module companies, no matter it's tier 1 or tier 2, they are only have around 40% to 70% utilization rate in February. But in March, they already back to 80%, and average for the top 10 module companies are back to the 84%. So it's really a good situation that means module shortage problem maybe will be solved in April or May. So we predict that after May, the supply chain they will not have any problem for the shipping and for the material shortage. The supply chain any issue in the supply chain will be solved. This is our points of view of the supply side. So go to the latest page is about our module price forecast. We still prepared 2 lines. One is for the mono-PERC module, another is for the conventional multi-products. And we can see that in March, that the multi-module have price rebound, because as I said, that India market faced the shortage problem about the multi-modules. So we can see that multi-module will have a little bit rebound in March, but maybe will drop again in April because the utilization rate are warm up, the supply will increasing, and also the rush season in India is at the end of March. So after April and May, the demand will decrease a little bit. So we think that the module price will drop again start from April. This is for the multi-products. And for the mono products, we can see the orange lines that Actually only a little demand from the European market or Japanese market also increase a little, because if the project is rush, or some small project like the rooftop project, the module price increase a little bit. But if for the big projects, ground mount projects, the price are very flat in Q1. So the price we keep very flat here. And after the supply chain back to the normal situation and the supply keep increasing, within that the price of monoPERC module will drop again, and this situation may start from May this year. And at the second half this year, the PV supply chain still face the oversupply issue, so the sale price will keep dropping, wafer price will keep dropping at the second half this year. So we think that module price will drop every quarter. At the end of this year, maybe price will around 20.5 to 21 cents at the fourth quarter this year. That's what we think now. And if everybody have more questions, then we can discuss later. Thank you.
Thanks, Corrine, for this comprehensive brief overview on demand, supply, and pricing. So let's start our discussion. So what I would like to do, actually, I would go along over the 30 minutes we talk here through exactly this agenda, talk a little bit about supply, demand, and pricing. Let's maybe start a little bit broader. When I want to go to from the side, from the view of the end consumer to the supply side, and to Danny and to Rong. So how we saw actually a general overview on how the production status is, and that companies are coming back, and it's different for different parts in the supply chain. But how is it exactly for you, Danny, Rong, two leading companies and exporting a lot of your product? Are you up and running full speed again? And how was it, or how has it developed also since the New Year's holidays? Have you continued producing then, or was everything shut down and you had to ramp again? And how were the impacts on from the virus? Danny, maybe first.
Okay, so far we have recovered to nearly full operations, keeping 99% lines up and running safely at about 95% employees returned. So now our production stays on track and remains normal. And in February, the utilization level is about 60%, 20% drop compared to the early January. You know that traditionally January is slow months, but now it returns to 100% for operation. The main reason behind it includes first, because most of our factories are located in less virus imposed regions, so where relatively well controlled and one of the earliest allowed to restore operation. The second is thanks to the high level of automation, the most steps of our production is less labor intensified. So, and some of our factories work 24 hours, 7 days throughout the year, even during the holidays. So no big interruptions. The third is our wafer and cell production workplace is clean and uncrowded, so limited the spread of virus. And large percent of our workers live in dormitory on campus, so they don't need to take public transport to work. And the last but also very important reason is that we have inventory on hand, raw material inventory on hand, because before the China's Lunar New Year, we stocked on raw materials by accident. That it helped us to continue customer deliveries, particularly in Q1. In our pre-announced last Friday, we reiterate our 2020 year's shipment guidance unchanged at 18 to 20 gigawatts, implying that any production shortfall caused due to the coronavirus is likely to offset, and no big impacts for 2020.
That's great news. Rong, what's on your side?
Yes, thank you, Michael. This is Ron, running the international business for Goodwe, for inverter business. I would say it's really a challenge, during this epidemic period. And it was when we heard about this the virus spreading right before the Chinese New Year, everybody just got a shock. Then I think in terms of production, there's two main factors. One is the components. As you may know, for unlike modules, the inverter actually has thousands of electronic components inside, and also you will talk about some mechanic structure as well. How to make sure the sourcing will be very critical. Second is about the labor and the workers. Fortunately, when we heard about this, when we got the news of this virus, we first of all we have some stock, prepared, and then we, this is a very special New Year for all the Goodwe people. We had meetings during the Chinese New Year holiday, and not even on the management level. We also, utilize a lot of people in the, even not in the office, but in around all the household. We also try to mobilize the resources as much as possible. And for Goodwe, we have actually two factories. One in Jiangsu province, another in Anhui province in Guangdong. And fortunately, also these two factories are not so much affected by this virus. And because of the quick decision, we also could have our strategic decisions materialized down to earth. That's the reason why, even though at the beginning we suffer, I would say right after Chinese New Year we still suffer, but we are still one of the very few manufacturers who got the approval from the local government to resume the work. So at that time, I remember, if you look at the beginning of February, we probably recover like 60% of workforce. But gradually, it's just we are speeding up. Up to now, because almost all the workers already returned, and either returned or we got the local laborers to working on the front, on the production line. So it's all our production capacity have been fully used back to normal. And also, in the meantime, because of very strong demand, and we actually are expecting to have around 20% of the capacity increase in the next couple of weeks. Yeah.
Okay, so that means so you will be up at what level then in a couple of weeks? What will be then your utilization level?
Compared to the level last year, our currently we are entirely back to normal. Because we actually interestingly we are seeing very strong demand. I think that's one thing that's driven by the market, because I think the market, a lot of people. First of all, the solar business still very booming. A lot of no matter conventional market or emerging market. Secondly, I think because Goodwe have been making a lot of progress in the overseas market, drawing a lot of attention. We got a strong partnership with a lot of strategic partners. So we see strong growth in the overseas market. The orders we are getting in this year actually already exceed some of the peak time. Even we have been reaching the historically the highest peak time of getting the orders. So that's the reason why we have been planning to expand our production capacity. And now it's as I said, it's fully up and running, and expanded capacity of the production will be utilized in next couple of weeks, which means we will have around 20% of the increase on our manufacturing capacity.
Can you reveal how much your capacity will be that year and what you plan to ship?
Yeah, this year I think according to the conditions right now, we should be able to reach around the 5 to 6 gigawatt level, which has been around 20 to 30% more than last year.
Okay. Yeah. Wow, that's good. Okay. So you just mentioned actually that there's an issue about procuring processing materials because there are so many parts, and Corrine also mentioned that. Corrine, if you look at the whole chain, where are the biggest problems you see? You mentioned already some parts. But if you dig a little bit deeper, so into everything, so from the system level basically to silicon, so where are still problems, and where will we see also problems in the near future?
What I see now is the upstream from polysilicon wafer cell already back to very good level, especially for mono products, and multi products may still have some shortage because their utilization rate already very low before the Chinese Lunar New Year, and now the Indian market are very rushed. They have rushed demand, so the multi wafer, multi cell, multi module still have some shortage problem. But it will be solved next month. So I think it's not a very long-term problem, just 1 month shortage. And for the other components, other materials, I think that the EVA, junction box, and frame, a little bit shortage at February, and now their utilization rate are increasing, and I think still have some delivery problem for the overseas module makers like Southeast Asia and Korean maybe. So still this problem will be solved at the end of March or maybe April, so still not a big problem. Then we can see that total production of module will back to 10 gigawatt in March for the worldwide module production. So it will be back to very good level this month. And if for the future, we hear that for a connector, NC4 connector that using in European market maybe have some shortage, and maybe this problem can needs to see the opinion of the module side of module makers. That's my opinions now.
Okay, and what do you see in terms of brands? So is it more if you look at if there's more unavailability of high quality products and lower quality products are easier available, or is it the other way around, or is it just random?
I think it's random because the shortage is every kind of module materials. So I think when the module materials utilization are increasing, then no matter is the low efficiency modules or the high level, the supply are increasing together.
Okay. So let's talk a bit about also pricing, because you saw the prices went up a little bit and then you expect it to go down. So let's include Stefan in the discussion, who's representing the demand side. So Stefan, how have you experienced the whole virus issue so far? You're sourcing quite a big number of modules and also other products. So what have you seen so far?
Again, thanks for the invitation, and I think this hot topic is interesting for everyone. So from the downstream part, I can add that probably nearly everyone received the letters, especially from the module manufacturers, that there will be a delay. So this is already, I think, confirmed. But on the other hand, when we look into our supply chain situation, then as correctly mentioned by Danny, that the general delivery is anyhow low. So at the moment, we are getting further information that we have a delay of 4, 6, 8 weeks or a bit longer. We are not getting any information or indication for inverters, and we are also buying a lot in China. So at the moment, as Rong mentioned, I think there is no delay at the moment foreseen. It has something to do that I think a lot of products are already in Europe, and the warehousing activities are, I would say, a bit more professional because the product is more or less a commodity. On the remaining products, let's count cable, steel, or other things on the BOS, we do not see any delay right now. But it has mainly something to do with that we and generally Enerparc are sourcing quite local. So most of the stuff is coming from Germany and from other European states. So from this point of view, we don't see any impact right now. I think we, like everyone in this, I would say, a bit crazy situation, we are getting some strange offers from strange dealers in the market. I think a few of them want to make some money and want to sell spot more modules on a much higher prices. But I think this popped up only for, I would say, 3, 4 times in the last, I would say, 2, 3 weeks. So I don't take it too serious. I think what we've seen is, and this is why we as a let's say downstream player, we all know that if there is a market which is a bit uncertain, and it's not only now the coronavirus stuff. I think we've seen yesterday the Black Monday things on the oil prices. This has all an impact on cash management, on their balance sheets, and I think we all seen this in the last few years. If the market is uncertain because of whatever reason, I think weak manufacturers with I would say not so strong balance sheet, I think they will come into, I would say, a bit of a difficult situation. Yeah. So again, I don't want to say names now officially, but I think if we go into the top 20 players and everyone is looking also into balance sheets or annual numbers, then you will get some I would say unclear signals about longer delays from companies who have a weak balance sheet. Yeah. So, and this for sure makes everyone nervous in the market. I think in general in the construction business, or let's say, or in the final interconnection business in Europe, we do not see any delays right now. But I would not be surprised if this will pop up, especially when we have hard deadlines. We have these hard deadlines in a few countries like Spain, but also in Germany when you participate in auctions that you have to finish and the interconnected system in 18 months. In our associations, we started already to have first conversations with the grid operators, with the government in the particular countries to let's say increase the sensitivity about this topic. I think everyone has, or everyone heard, especially in Europe, about the hard challenges in Italy. We do not see it here in Germany, not in France, and even not in Spain. But we all know that the virus will come sooner or later. So I think it's a matter of fact that we have to live with this in the next, I would say, 9 to 12 months. And this means automatically this has an impact on also on the construction business. So in summary, at the moment we are still okay. Yeah, we are still positive. We believe that China is in general strong enough to manage this, and we just talked in this round here before we started the webinar that we see some positive signals from China. So let's see. But the virus doesn't care about borders, so we believe sooner or later 60% of the people in the world will get this virus. So the question is only when. And if this is a bit long term, then everything should be okay. If everything comes in a very short term, like in Italy, then it can be a challenge. But in summary, again, we believe that we can manage this from our point of view. Every government, every grid operator, every utility is, I would say, open for this to listen to us. And I'm pretty sure that we can find a solution. So from our point of view, we take care of the situation, we take care of our employees, but we don't get really nervous.
Okay. And Stefan, coming back to the pricing, if we talk about prices, would you agree on? Are you kind of seeing also the same trend line that Corrine showed for these products? And what are you seeing for except for inverters and modules for other products you need for the system?
I mean, at the moment, we don't get any information about price changes at all. Yeah? And I think this is, in general, a good sign, probably also supported by the local governments from different countries. And that's the reason why I still believe that if we manage the next 3 to 6 months, the impact will not be so visible or so tangible. Yeah? There will be a delay of construction. There will be probably also challenges in terms of logistic or transport or something like this. But in generally, I'm quite confident that there will be no huge impact on our day-to-day activities. Even if our banks are talking to us a lot at the moment, they are for sure. They also have to review the market analysis, and they have to do their risk analysis. But in generally, I feel still confident that we will have no big or tangible price changes. I even think about it that this could move in the other direction if we have I would say, if we manage the challenges with the virus, and then probably in 3 to 6 months the boom will come up again, and this probably has then a higher impact. And this is the reason why module price can change for whatever 3 month boom in autumn or in winter.
Okay, maybe to everyone, let's talk a little bit also about shipments. So there were also already some questions. So how is it also regarding logistics, transport? So within China, actually, to the ports, and so how are you getting the products out? And are we seeing actually, for example, okay, airplanes are only the last resort for module shipments, but are we seeing actually also any but of course in airplanes we see at the moment a lot of companies are cutting down on flights, but are you seeing that also with ships? How is it there? How is this whole logistics chain being impacted now by this virus? Maybe Danny, you first.
currently the container ship capacity is idling, hitting the record high 14%. So particularly for those routes to Europe, to North Asia, and also to Middle East. For us, you know that the large percentages through the inland trains instead of trucks. So the domestic logistic is recovered quickly, but you know that we can expect that China freight rates will initially so because of the constraints of the routes.
Okay, Ron?
Yeah, actually, you know, it was also very tough at the beginning because the domestic logistic totally broke. You know, that's reason why even at the time when we even have the capability to produce, but it will be very difficult to even deliver it out from our factory because you know a lot of lockdown on the cities. Now in China is much more eased off. I would say as just Danny mentioned, the supply chain and logistic distribution has been almost recovered. But you know, at the beginning also a lot of flights have been cancelled, and also even for the oceans shipments, there's a lot of interruption. You know, now things I think becoming more complex. Because the virus is becoming worsened in a lot of countries. So, you know, there's a situation where the other country, let's say Italy or you know some other country, also cancel their flights or ships, all the you know the vessels. So I would think you know this logistic will remain a challenge. Because you know with when the demand is still there, so we need to find a way out. But so far it's still not the blocking point yet. I will you know echo the points of Stefan. You know, if let's say if we split in 3 time slots, you know, short term in a couple of months, or 3-4 months for the midterm, and then long term for the cover full year. I would think in short term that should not be a very big problem. But midterm is hard to say because you know if let's say European countries really suffer, then then we will see the you know many on the shipment and saying that also for those domestic transportation in those countries could have problem as well. You know, it's definitely a question mark, but we are also, for us as a supply, we're trying to diversify by all means, you know, including now we are also shipping by the train to the for instance, east of Europe. Then you do some local transportation, just try to meet the requirement of customers as much as possible.
Okay. Stefan, would you see that? So I don't know. I think I'm not sure if you're active in Italy these days, but what's your risk assumption? So if we would see something happening, what you saw in Italy and in other regions in Europe, what would that mean actually in terms of logistics for your EPC people to get somewhere and to work and
Yeah, I think this is probably the biggest issue. Let's say if there are really also our federal states. I mean, all the power of decision is with the federal states. Yeah, and we see it now in Italy as well. So for sure, this would have a very strong impact if we cannot deliver material from A to B or to C to D anymore. And especially Enerparc, who has, I don't know, 20 sites under construction, and we also manage to deliver products from one side to another if we have spare parts or something like this. We in generally can only take care that our people in the field, our construction guys, they are on the safe side. We are doing whatever, also a critical travel review. We let in generally the critical people not to go on large conferences anymore, and so on. So this will have an impact. And if we have to stop our construction, and we all know in Germany there is generally a high demand of I would say normal workers, and if only 10 or 20% of the workers are not there anymore, then we will have an issue. But as I mentioned before, I think the governments and discussions about deadlines is a quite simple discussion. Yeah? So if you lift a bit the COD deadlines to another 3 months or something, and you keep everything as it is, then in generally this is no impact for the government, and this shouldn't be an impact for us. But coming back to the situation like in Italy, if we cannot deliver our stuff from A to B and to C anymore, then we have an issue. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. So when we look at shipments also and distribution of the product, so as we learned from Corrine, China was last year already weaker than anticipated. This year there were also things postponed. As I understand, the March tender is also postponed. So on the other hand, of course, also from the demand side and from the profitability side, shipping products to other countries at the moment is more attractive because the demand is so high there. How are big companies like Jinko, Goodwe, or others at the moment distributing their somewhat limited products? Who are you preferring? Are you saying, okay, everything goes to Europe, or who cries loudest gets most? So how is it decision making? Maybe Danny, you want first? Hello, Danny or Ron?
Okay, I can, yeah, I can answer first. You know, as I said, you know, it's always normal that crying baby has the milk, right? So it's of course, but you know, for us, we also, you know, during the very tough time when we had a limited products and even the productivity, we also, you know, made a strategic review out of our customers. You know, of course, with the strategic customer, we of course have to reserve some of the products for them. Then another concern from us is also try to share the products to the people as much as possible, which means we also balance the demands and see, you know, which going to be the critical, you know, if somebody they, you know, for only for a few pieces they could survive, we also try to find a way to fit them. So it's agnostic of the regions, actually. You know, we don't really think, you know, Europe is more important or India is more you know, they need more products. We just, you know, allocate the resources, product as best as we can, you know, according to our most educated opinion by that time.
Okay. Corrine, are you seeing any regions being preferred over others at the moment? So in general, so if you kind of look at
this is still very general. Every country's demands are good, but especially for India, Japan, they have March rush, so their demand is very rush. But overall, the worldwide demand are good.
Okay. Okay, and you don't see any preferences for certain markets, so it's really where there are peaks, companies are trying to satisfy that.
If I may add up, if you really look at the allocation, I would say, because the demands actually come more during that period of time from Europe for us, and also, like Brazil. So if you look at the in terms of the units of inverter that we have been delivering, then Europe and Brazil probably were the two of the most hungry places that we have supplied.
Okay. I think is this is also a question to all, but in particular to the manufacturers. So such a risk, such a virus, is this also an argument for having more local facilities? I think demand is distributing much more anyway. So especially Jinko is having also several factories outside China. Danny, does it help you in these days to be flexible and have several factories around the world? Oops, did we lose Danny?
Oh, hello?
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Danny's back online.
Okay. Did you hear my question, Danny? Okay, so the question was actually if in such times with like this virus having such a risk and this impact, does it actually help to have factories around the world, also as the demand is distributing much more anyway compared to recent years? Could you profit from your various factories around the world to get products quicker to customers?
If Danny is not there, maybe I can just share my opinion here. We are for Goodwe, we are not having any foreign factory yet. But we are also seriously considering the
demand.
option.
So,
hello, Danny. If you can talk, you go ahead first.
Yeah, I think she is having connection issues, so she's still not green.
Yeah. Okay. So I just carry on. So we all, I think there's always you always need to have the plan B, and that's this global manufacturing remains an option of risk sharing or risk mitigation. However, in my view, this is just very short-term pain for most of the suppliers, as long as they are financially strong. Just as mentioned by Stefan early on, because the strong guy can survive. The guy who don't really have a good balance sheet, they're always gonna be easily even bankrupt during the tough time. So but the supply chain in China could rather easily be recovered, like what we are seeing. Most of the workers, even on the construction, it is time to recommence. So we will very soon see the full rebounds of the I would say the industry or economic in China. But on the other hand, if you look at the factory, actually a lot of factory, even when Chinese module supply or even inverter supply, when they do the setup in different countries, it's the supply chain. A lot of critical components still from China. So my concern is actually is not really on the components from China. I think that's more or less will be same. But I'm really concerned about the some of components which could be imported from the other countries, because with the virus continue to spread, that supply chain could easily break. I think like the virus is getting worse in Italy and so on and so forth. But in general, I mean, that remains to be a viable option.
Okay. Corrine, are you also seeing some at least some developments also into that? Actually, like Rong also said, they are thinking about also producing outside China, but of course he also sees issues with that because the supply chain is so big and so strong in China. But we just saw also that Longji invested big in Vietnam. It was an M&A. But are you seeing actually also Chinese companies moving beyond Chinese and even Asian borders, and not only necessarily pushed or driven by some protective measures, which we are obviously also facing these days still? So is there an interest from companies to go abroad?
For now, almost 80% in the module supply chain from polysilicon wafer cell module, almost in China. But we can see that cell production lines and module production lines were moved to the Southeast Asia at the past few years, and that the capacity in Southeast Asia is more focused on the U.S. market, because U.S. has lots of tariff for the local China products. And now I think we'll not have too much production lines moved to abroad, and that will have some risk if the materials in China have some maybe transport issue or the delivery issue. The Southeast Asia or the capacity outside China will also face the impact. But that's not very big. The Southeast Asia only accounts maybe 10 or 15% for the module side, if for sale is much lower. So we'll have not too much impact for the virus issue. That's our opinion now.
Okay. There's a question also to Stefan in terms of delivery and shipments. So Stefan, is a force majeure an option, actually, an acceptable explanation for a frozen COD?
I mean, we just had the situation in India with one of the clients where we had a delay, and this was only by 4 weeks or something, 6 weeks. And so the first thing, the client didn't accept it, but after discussion, they accepted it. So this is the only experience which we have. So I think if you speak to private clients where there is no hard deadline, I think it's a matter of being honest to each other and playing fair. As I mentioned before, the COD deadlines, which are fixed in PPAs or something like this during auctions in the different countries in Europe, this is a debate which we have started right now. But again, we do not raise the finger on force majeure, but we start the conversation with the German grid operators and with other utilities who are responsible for the deadlines. So this is a matter. It's a hot topic, and let's see what happens in the next, I would say, 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay. And maybe also to Corrine and to all. So let's talk about, in the end, again to demand as a whole. Corrine, you have actually downgraded basically your forecast for this year. So I think when I was looking recently, several were still in the up to 140s for this year. So, and you are now much lower. So is this your moderate scenario? How much upside do you think is there, and how much downside for the 121, I believe you expect for this year? Huh?
Yeah, actually our demand forecast is the real module demand, is not the on-grid volume or installation volume. So maybe we're a little bit lower than other institute. This is the first point. And the second, because we are always more conservative. So I think the final demand in this year will not too much lower than our forecast. So this is 129 is very conservative, and if the China demand is better than our imagine, or maybe other countries maybe can be a little bit higher, but we think will not higher than 140, because the first point is that the first quarter demand is already lower than our previous forecast because the module shortage, component shortage. And the second point is that China new policy announced that the deadline will be postponed. So actually the China demand this year will a little bit lower than every manufacturer's forecast compared to the forecast before China Lunar New Year. So our points of view still that will around 130 gigawatt this year. And the hard season will be third quarter and fourth quarter. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any further comments from the panelists?
I agree with Corrine. I think that the spread of coronavirus remains mostly containing China, so it will drive the China domestic demand drop 5 gigawatts, but keeps at 30 to 40 gigawatts, relatively lower than our previous prediction. But overall, the global demand will maintain at 130 to 140 gigawatts. This is our prediction. But in we can see some drops in demand in Q1 and Q2, but will be quickly recovered in the second half year.
Okay, I think.
Yeah, for me, I think we have seen strong demand. Even since Q1, as I just explained. I think the virus impact really brings uncertainty, because, for instance, in Europe, as I just also mentioned, the short term, mid term, long term. In long term, I don't think that there are any issues because it's going to be gone anyway. But mid term still remains a question mark. But anyhow, I think the solar business still have a strong demand in general and a substantial growth year by year. If we analyzing the inherent demands, if it's just getting down for one season and it will be rebounded in another season afterwards, that's what we truly believe. But just difficult to tell, Q1, Q2, or Q3, what's going to be the curve. Yeah, that's my opinion.
Okay. Then I would thank you everyone for their great contributions. Let's hope that the coronavirus vanishes as quickly as it hopefully happened in China, where it's going down now, and that the peak will be soon in other regions, and also then it goes down quickly. Thanks again for this information. Thanks for this positive outlook for the rest of the year. So from TaiyangNews, just two information. So if you're interested in the latest on cell technologies, we recently came up with a new report. You can download that from our website, and next week we will come up with a new report on metallization pastes, very deep technical. These are available for free on our website, and we will also have webinars on these. Thanks so much to everyone for joining us. Have a good afternoon, evening, or good night. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.